You. So, good morning, everyone. I welcome all the participants to the third day of our FDP. On behalf of the Department of Mechanical Engineering, I welcome today's resource person, Dr. Nitin Varma, sir. Welcome to you, sir. Hello,
Good
sir.
morning, everyone.
Welcome
Yes,
to
can
you.
you hear me? Thank you.
So, I will just give you a brief introduction to Dr. Nitin Varma. He is a specialist for e-governance and edutech solutions. Dr. Nitin Varma specializes in analytics, big data, and artificial intelligence with a PhD from Indian Institute of Management, Ranchi. He is BTech from NIT Kurukshetra during 1994, MBA, PGDM, SPJIMR, Mumbai, and has vast industrial experience, including a decade in the US in the IT industry, having worked on projects for a number of Fortune 500 organizations on cutting edge technologies used in smart cities such as smart transportation, SAP, mobile CRMS, and such for projects of organizations like IBM, SAP, Oracle, among others. Dr. Nitin is a ex-PMP, PMI, Six Sigma Green Belt, and net qualified. Dr. Nitin Varma is just starting up. Till recently, he was professor at Chitkara University and also deploys as a mentor of change for NITE Ayog Government of India. Dr. Nitin has published articles and case studies. He has also won several national and international awards for research and innovation. This is the brief introduction. We are very fortunate to have Dr. Nitin Varma as a resource person for our FDP. Okay. So, on behalf of the department, I welcome him once again and I request Dr. Nitin Varma to take over for this session. So, over to you, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Uh, Good morning, Professor Sabeel. Thank you very much for that very kind and nice introduction. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, wonderful. So I'm going to turn off my video and I'm going to share the slide deck right away without taking much time. Um, so let's get going. So one more confirmation. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Your
sir.
screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay, wonderful.
Yes, it is visible. Yes.
Okay. So anytime there is any any issue, please let me know, and I'll speak again about those things, or play the slides again. Yeah. Okay. So welcome to this FDP, and we are here for design thinking. And as already we heard in the introduction, we're going to talk about the third way, which is not very well known, and therefore we thought of this topic for this audience. So this is about me, and this is as my favorite. What is the one word for all of this? When you're challenged, when you feel there's a call to action, when you must deliver, and when your intent and effort must show. So I call this response ability, and this is the crux of everything that you will come across in all challenges. So this is where we are. Today is 20th, and we're going to talk about decision one, which is the key product. And there are actually four decisions to be made, very critical. Um, and I will take you through each of these in detail. So we are here today. Decision one: what is your key product? So what is a key product decision? First of all, choosing a key product is a decision to focus on that product. So what is this decision? It is choosing a key product. It's a decision to focus on that product, to honor it, and to build around it. So please note these words. They are very, 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 very critical to your understanding about this third way of innovation. So it's a signal to the organization that this product and its customers will be the central focus of effort in the time to come. It's a very, very strategic decision about the type of innovation that we will not be investing in. Note the words, we will not be investing in that innovation. What is that innovation? No new products, no deployment of disruptive technologies for revolutionary no products. So that is the kind of innovation we will not be doing. Okay, there'll be no new products, there'll be no disruptive technologies. Instead of that, we will be building a portfolio of complementary products and services around the key product. So this is why this is called the key product decision. So we'll be building a portfolio of complementary products and services around the key product. And since the key product is the core around which there will be new offerings, it needs to be chosen with utmost care. Very true, right? So what is your key product and how do you know that something in your product line is a key product? So a key product is any product you've chosen to make more appealing by building a system of complementary innovations around it. Designating a key product is an easy and straightforward decision. It's an obvious choice. Sometimes, for what kind of companies? For companies which have a strong brand. And for all other businesses, it's the business that you're in, what your customers have come to expect from you. It's what your firm did yesterday, it's what your firm does today, and it is what your firm will most likely do tomorrow. That is your key product. So how do you qualify a key product? Because a company can have 10,000 products. A company like a Hindustan Lever or a company like Procter and Gamble, and we will talk about these small case studies. I have tons of those here, examples. So we will talk about these and how do we qualify what is a key product. So a key product is that, or it could be that which could be central to your company, something that defines or helps define what you do, what is your core business. So is it something customers can link with your company and your brand? And will it build or reinforce your company's strategic identity? Will selling it take you forward towards the company's strategic goal? Will it build the company's presence and brand in the company in existing markets or in some future markets that the company seeks to enter? In short, it is a good fit with the organization when it is what the organization does, how the organization is perceived, and where the organization wants to go. So does or could this key product appeal to a distinct and sizable set of customers? So we are continuing with the qualification process. There are a number of 6 slides on this. So this is the second one now. So does or could this key product appeal to a distinct and sizable, so it has to be distinct, it has to be sizable set of customers. The most successful key products appeal or can appeal to an important market segment. Without a clear target market, there's a clear difficulty in identifying the needs, because if you don't know the market, how do you know the needs, right? So such a clear set of needs, is the basis for selecting a strong promise and identifying innovations that fulfill that promise. So this will have a huge impact, as we will see today later in the sessions. Does or could the key product exist more or less autonomously? Or is it tied to something else? For example, would it make sense for Apple to designate its iTunes music store as a key product? Because iTunes that works with and supports Apple's other products such as iPods and iPhones, that entire music system which lies within these devices. The next question to ask is the key product a stable product? Or is it going to remain unchanged? Or will it have only incremental improvements, at least in the next few years? Is there some sense of stability to it? And it would make little sense to build a system of complementary innovations around something that itself is undergoing evolution, that itself is changing, again and again. So that is why this question is important. Does the key product draw on and reflect the strengths and values your company is known for? Circuit City chose to launch CarMax because selling used cars was a sizable retail business where no one had yet applied the expertise in retailing that Circuit City possessed. So this is an example from the US. Many of you might be aware of Circuit City. I was there in the US for a long time, as you heard about me in the introduction, and all this happened in front of my eyes. So they had expertise in retailing, and they knew this was a big market which was not being targeted by anyone. Another example, Apple was virtually alone among computer makers when Apple started, and when they reached a certain point, when they were working with both hardware and software, guess what? They were the only ones who knew both hardware and software, and they could make it together. So voila, you saw magic from Apple. And everyone else, HP had become a purely hardware company. They were making only hardware. Microsoft became a software company, but Apple had both. So almost everything that Apple did, it had this distinctive capability. It fell to both sides, hardware and software. Could the product and its complements generate significant revenues? So if the key product is handled properly, surrounded by the right complementary innovations, will your product justify enough efforts because there are enough profits in that? So these are, the questions that we have to ask to qualify what can become a key product. I've already talked about this. So let's watch a quick video here. I'm going to switch from this to introducing this company, and we're going to we're going to learn more through this case study plus other examples and some more theory. So just a moment while I switch the tab, and we'll be all set to go. This is on YouTube. I believe I should be audible.
Gatorade not only quenches your thirst better.
You have surely drank it before, but did you?
Can you all hear the audio? Okay, wonderful. And I'm also posting this link in the chat window, just in case you want to listen to it later on or whatever. Where is this? Here. Okay, so I'm now going to play the video.
Do you know how cool a company Gatorade is? What started as a drink designed for athletes can now be found almost everywhere. So let's quench that thirst and check out 10 things you didn't know about Gatorade. Gatorade.
And I can promise you, if you watch this video with me, you will be totally shocked and surprised at something that I don't want to tell you right now. We'll talk about it later. But I think you should be able to relate to this totally. What's going on here?
Was invented by a university.
You heard about the guy that invented this thing?
In 1965, Dwayne Douglas was coaching the football team at the University of Florida. Imagine this. He is a good coach. He pushes his team to do their best and strives to win. His players practice hard, drink lots of water, and have an excellent team mentality. But something is wrong. The coach can see it. He can sense it. It's kind of like he has a superpower and is picking up on a problem that he decided he needs to fix. The problem was that his players were losing weight. Some even lost up to 18 pounds. On top of that, they were not learning. Now, you might think it doesn't take a superhero to notice that kind of issue.
Superheroes, I don't know how to be in this.
18 pounds on a football player does not go unnoticed. Well, it does take some superhero qualities to recognize the issue and then fix it. Coach Dwayne Douglas brought the matter to a colleague of his at the university named Dr. Robert K. Dr. K.
So there was this coach, who used to teach football, and as you might have heard, I'm just, speaking in Indian English so that we will all be very clear what this is about. So he noticed that his players were losing weight up to 18 pounds, which is about like 9 kgs, okay? And they were also not feeling fresh enough. So he decided to do something about it, and he went to this medical doctor, Dr. Gale.
was a kidney disease specialist, and he was able to help in finding a solution. As you have already guessed, that solution was in the form of a beverage. It was packed with carbohydrates, which have tons of sugar, some salt, and some electrolytes. So far, so good.
So note that the initial solution had sugar, salt, and some electrolytes.
All makes sense. They had a drink on their hands that had the potential to solve their problems and save their players. But another issue occurred. It tasted pretty darn gross. Dr. K.
So it tasted gross, which means people didn't like it. They felt like vomiting.
Lamented this issue. What could they do to make it better and still keep all the beneficial properties of the drink? What a dilemma. Then one fine day, Mrs. Cage suggested they just add some lemon juice. Clever thinking. Suddenly, the drink tasted better and the players were actively drinking it. That's how Gatorade was invented at a university. Doesn't it make you...
So, as I promised you in the beginning, right, I told you will be able to relate to this. So what did they add to sugar and salt? Lime, right? Now, this is a recipe you all might be surprised. Your grandma's recipe, right? Okay, so let's go on.
You want to go there? Nothing like being at a school where the coaches and professors take students so seriously that they invent a new beverage to help them out. Well done, University of Florida. You deserve a round of applause. Your dedication is not going unnoticed.
So notice the words. This was a new beverage, adding lime and to sugar and salt and, giving that solution to athletes was a great thing in 1965.
Gatorade was originally called Gatorade.
So where did the big wigs come from?
Littler.
Since this drink was made to be on the field to help players, specifically the players on the football team at the University of Florida, it was considered an aid. It did, in fact, help. It really was, and still is, an aid. Now, it's called Gatorade because the sports teams at the University of Florida are called the Gators. So, putting those two together, Gator and aid, brings us to Gatorade. When the name is said out loud, it sounds exactly the same as the name the drink now has. Why the change? Well, the doctors who invented it realized that having the word aid in the name could pose marketing problems should the beverage ever leave the university and become something more. Talk about being prepared and thinking in advance, right? These doctors called it. They knew that their drink had potential.
We can finally realize our potential.
Metaphorically, they...
So you heard why this drink was called Gatorade, right? The name of the team was Gators, and this aided the team in doing well. So they named it like that. But, they changed it to Gator ADE. Why? Because otherwise, aid in the US, so this was big thinking way ahead of time. So they said if we call this aid, this qualifies as as a medical thing, and it will have to undergo medical tests, and what's going on with the vaccine for COVID-19, right? So there's like elaborate series of tests that need to be done for a medical product. So wise thinking.
Hope that their little baby would leave the nest and fly off into the world to make its own name. And boy, did it ever do that. Now, because the drink is called Gatorade and not Gatorade, it does not need to defend its medical properties. You see, had it had aid in the title as it originally did, then people would want results. The doctor...
So just a very small little thing made such a big difference to this entire thing. And as you will notice shortly,
would have had to done an actual medical study on a significant amount of people to prove what they were claiming. They would have had to operate under the guidelines of medications rather than those of everyday products. So they changed the AID, AID to AIDE, and that was that.
If you get this word, you'll be the winner.
The University of Florida makes millions from Gatorade. Millions. Let's hear this again. The University of Florida makes millions from Gatorade. Since the product's inception in 1965, it has raked in nearly $300 million for the school. What does this mean? Free tuition for all and never having to pay for your school books because they are just given to you? No, not exactly. But the school does reinvest this money. For example, some of the funds have contributed to the school's up-to-date genetics institute. Some has gone to the Whitney Marine Laboratory in St. Augustine to help provide the funds for grants. The school has tried to do right by the money, as well as retain a love.
so this is why I thought this example is really, really pertinent for this audience. We are university, right? And if you can invent something like this, which goes out and kicks the market. I mean, they've made, this is like old data. $300 million is known figure and old data. You can imagine the actuals that they made from this. And as you heard, I mean, they could have actually had everyone studying for free for life and forever with that kind of money. But they're using it for other centers of advanced studies.
for the product on the campus. The school makes so much money because they get 20% of the royalties off the product. The rest of the money goes into the Gatorade Trust, which is very private. The information on that money is not made public. So all in all, the school is rolling in it. Fat stacks of money coming their way because of their amazing invention. Well, not really fat stacks. Surely the Gatorade Trust is not dishing out the 20% the university is due in cash. Can you even imagine? Once a year, a bunch of folks carrying duffel bags filled with cold, hard bills enter the university for a money drop-off. Sounds like some Breaking Bad kind of situation. It's nothing like that. It can't be. But the point is, the university is making a killing. Gatorade once sold a gum. From the late 1970s to the early 2000s, Gatorade sold a gum that would offer the...
So Gatorade didn't stop with the cold drink, with this drink there. They tried selling gum, and you will hear now what happened with that.
Same benefits as the drink. It was supposed to quench thirst and deliver positive nutritional value. It was called Gator Gum. Though this does seem like a great idea, it was not as successful as you would have thought. The reason being that the target audience, athletes, did not want to chew the gum. That is not so surprising. Athletes just tend to squirt their drinks into their mouths on the bench. Then they sometimes even spit it out onto the ground. It doesn't sound so nice when it's put that way, but it is a totally normal practice that isn't weird at all. That couldn't happen with a gum. Just pop that gum in your mouth, chew, 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 and then spit it out onto the floor. That's gross. Then there would be a serious problem with gum on the bottom of sneakers. It would ruin the courts or fields. Not to mention how much of a problem rinks and skates would have if hockey players were doing that. Imagine getting gum stuck on your blade. Well, that being said, it is probably too cold in a rink for gum to retain its stickiness. In a rink, the gum would just form little pebbles, and it would be like the players are walking on little rocks. Clearly, this proves why the gum did not work out. Maybe it will come back, and maybe athletes will change their minds about chewing gum. Only time will tell.
Time gives legitimacy to its existence.
Gatorade helps underquench third world nations.
Huge improvement to the standard of living in what used to be called the third world.
So as you can see, Gatorade tried gum, and they found out that athletes and the sports places would get soiled with that gum.
Gatorade has been using their helpful beverage in a very helpful way. Though the drink is obviously nowhere near offering the same things as an IV administered by health professionals, it still has some very useful properties that can help a body become stronger. For example, back in 1994, in the aftermath of the Rwandan genocide, Gatorade was shipped to the refugees. Without potable water, there was a serious problem in Rwanda. Gatorade was a very easy solution. Not only does Gatorade have carbohydrates, electrolytes, and a bunch of other useful stuff in it, it also comes in an easy-to-transport and pass-around bottle. The same thing cannot be said for an IV. In 2000, Gatorade pledged 200...
So now, what they did in Rwanda was they shipped this drink, and it's easy to transport, and it definitely has those medical properties. So it helped a lot of people because there was a huge shortage of water, and you can listen to
$140 million to Thirst Aid. Their goal was to replenish people who are underquenched. Pretty darn good goal. Gatorade was brought to 27 UN-designated underquenched third world nations. That kind of help deserves a standing ovation.
We all deserve a standing ovation.
Gatorade was on Forbes' most powerful brands list.
So can you imagine a drink coming out like that? Can you imagine our own, homemade lemon solution? Prescribed by your grandma and her grandma and so on, becoming so big that it becomes number 84 brand. And look at the volume, the sales volume they have. We'll talk about that also.
In 2012, Gatorade was number 86 on the Forbes most powerful brands list. Though that may seem low, like why aren't they within the top 10, right? It is not low at all. Take into consideration how many brands there are in the world. That is such a crazy figure that there is no way it could ever be calculated.
There's no mathematical formula.
Even the smallest of companies has their own little brand. For Gatorade to get on this list, they must be doing something very, very right. So what are they doing? Why did Forbes think they passed the test? Well, at the time the list was published, Gatorade retained 46% of the sports drink market worldwide. That is impressive. It was and still is distributed in over 80 countries and is valued at $4.8 billion. To put that into context, we can take a look at what the top of the list is like. Currently, the most powerful brand is Apple. No surprises there. And they are valued valued at $205.5 billion. To even be considered for such a list is a mark of achievement. Any company would be thrilled to know that they are successful enough to have reached such a place. The list not only values the monetary success of the company, but also the power of the brand. Gatorade has built itself a very recognizable logo and provided a reliable product.
It's actually from Confederated Products.
Gatorade cares about the planet.
Because I care.
Gatorade and their parent company PepsiCo really do care about the planet. Apparently, by 2030, the global demand for water is going to get pretty crazy, and big companies like PepsiCo will have to be very careful about how they use their water. It is sad to say, but the planet is getting to a point where we may no longer have unlimited resources. Being careful with water is a new reality. PepsiCo and Gatorade are aware of this and making the changes in their plans right away. They are thinking ahead. Not only does the way they use water help the planet and prepare the company for any future restrictions on water usage, it is also saving them tons of cash. For example, the Gatorade facility in Tolleson, Arizona, bottles up to 600 Gatorades per minute.
A few minutes later.
Water can get scarce in Arizona, and so that plant was one of the first to make the move to reducing their water usage. They improved by 24%. That means that they did not use about 100 million gallons of water that they were previously using. They saved $1.5 million. Nothing doper than saving the planet, right? How about saving the planet and saving money? Maybe that is the dopest situation of all.
That's dope, isn't it?
The New York Giants invented the Gatorade shower.
Gatorade.
The first ever Gatorade shower is hotly contested. Most people attribute the
So as you can see, Gatorade has, taken social responsibility and woven that into their core, that this is what they stand for. And as you can see now, there's a cultural aspect of Gatorade shower. So they built their own customs and rituals with this product.
the now iconic post-game event to the New York Giants. On October 28, 1984, the Giants beat the Washington Redskins 37-13. Jim Burt, a player on the New York Giants football team, dumped the Gatorade on the coach, Bill Parcells. Bill Parcells was known as the Big Tuna. Apparently, Burt was upset with his coach and drenched him in Gatorade as a punishment. Imagine if you could just shower the people you hate. Throwing glasses of water into people's faces is one thing. Dumping gallons of Gatorade on them is totally another. Though this was a very audacious first dunk, it has now become a tradition. It has also changed from punishment to celebratory in nature. Dan Hampton from the Chicago Bears also claimed that he invented the Gatorade shower. He says it happened when the Bears doused Mike Ditka after clinching the NFC Central, but that took place a month after the dunk happened on the New York Giants team. Now, sports teams, small and big alike, enact this tradition. It's fun, it's impactful, and, is actually a waste of Gatorade. Too bad, it is what it is. We can't have it all.
You gotta sweat it.
Gatorade provides Michael Jordan with cigars.
Mama has made soup.
I hope it's better than your jalebi bhindi.
Yes, I know. Restaurant is
It's okay. अच्छा जरा रेसिपी देना
ना ज्यादा गाढ़ा ना ज्यादा पतला only
you can't cook but cooking की acting बड़ी अच्छी करते हैं
No, restaurant like at home.
Okay, you're obviously thinking Gatorade is pain, meaning Michael Jordan, a box of 25 Monte Cristo No. 2 Cube. Further, the U.S. has had a very long and complicated history with Cuba, which is not worth getting into now, but it means that Cuban cigars are rarer than other cigars. This is a neat fact because it shows the company's love for their talents and desire to keep them happy.
Why can't you just be happy for me?
If you think about it hard enough, you might also see it as a sneaky little way to keep the talents dedicated to the brand. Loyalty is perhaps more easily attained with nice gifts, right? Would you want to keep advertising to them if they offered you your favorite treat every time you worked with them? Gatorade is used to fuel some race car drivers. So, Gatorade helps athletes. Is a NASCAR driver an athlete? That may be a debatable topic, but what is important to note is that race car drivers sweat. They sweat so much. They are confined to a
So the question here is a NASCAR driver an athlete? Because Gatorade is athlete fuel, right? So because race car drivers also sweat a lot and they have, to face the heat.
a small, hot space in which they use their whole body to drive the car. They exert so much energy that they often get dehydrated. To improve the driver's health, and let's be honest, Gatorade is a company and brand that is all about helping and aiding people, they invented an in-car drinking system. The drink is fastened to the back of the seat and rigged with a nozzle right by their mouth so they can just sip whenever they need to without compromising their driving position. This is awesome because it is just one more way that Gatorade is quenching thirst and stopping dehydration. The company is true to their mission and they have been very successful in achieving their goals. Thirsty for more? Just tap on that screen for more great videos. And if it's your first...
Okay, so we watched that video, right? And upfront, we know about this company, and I'm going to now talk more detail about how to do this innovation that you just saw. I mean, the amazing kind of integration of marketing and activities into their core message, their core product. So let's continue with that. I'm just going to switch back to my slides. Okay, so this is the this is the sport pack they had before. Okay, so this is run a little ahead of. Okay, just give me a second while this thing runs. Okay. Okay, so these are the retail packs. I'm exposed to those very well. I've been there for a long time, and these are. I think they've started importing these into India as well, but I haven't seen them here around. I live in a in a slightly off metro place. Okay, so this brand was purchased by Quaker Oats Company, which was in turn purchased by PepsiCo in 2000. Okay, and what is Gatorade today? It is PepsiCo's fourth largest brand. You can imagine that, fourth largest, coming from where it was. You already heard the story, and it competes with Coca-Cola's Powerade, which has 20% of the US market, Body Armor, which is a new challenger, which has 7% market in the US, and Coke also has a minority stake in that company. There is also Vitamin Water, which has hardly 1% stake market in the market, and has been acquired by Coke. And it competes with other brands in UK and other countries. It is there in 80 countries and commands 46% of the worldwide sports drink market. And you have the best of the best athletes, the world's best athletes, vouching for this product. And they have about 72% market share in the US. So that's what Gatorade is today. Now, Sarah Rob O'Hagan was, the person concerned who came in and who saw that what Gatorade had been doing was they had been introducing all these new variants. What are variants? Variants are variations in the original product, and so these are small variations which are done to meet smaller markets. And so she saw this, and Sarah said that this is like too much because every variant was costing a lot more, but it was selling less. Obviously, it was designed to meet a smaller specific need. And though there was an increase in sales, that increase in sales came with declining profits. So this is what happens. A lot of managers, when they're trying to expand in every conceivable market segment, they lose sight of the segment itself, the core segment, the most loyal customers. So what should be done? How do you identify and focus on the key customers for the key product? This is very critical. So the decision that Rob O'Hagan took was that they were going to focus on serious athletes only, so which means all casual users of this product were going to be abandoned altogether. And PepsiCo had added these casual users over, different geographies, different countries, and different distribution lines. So they said all of these are going out. We will focus only on the serious athlete. Now, if you are the head of marketing, like Rob O'Hagan, or Sarah Rob O'Hagan, and if you talk about this in your organization, people will be like, what? We are present in so many segments, and you are telling us that we will be focusing on only one single segment, which is the serious athlete. I mean, how are we going to grow unless we meet the needs of all the other customers, right? So this is what actually happened, and this was never an obvious route to success. But what was Rob O'Hagan's strategy? The strategy was that they would go on and encourage consumption by the serious athletes, and they would go on and add complementary innovations around the product that these CS athletes were using. So with those additions, Gatorade would satisfy a compelling need of serious athletes. And hopefully, they knew that they will have a buyback into that. And therefore, more and more serious athletes will use this product, consume this product. So this was a huge turnaround story for Gatorade. And the key thing here was, as you might have taken a lesson already, how to choose your key customer segment, because you have so many of them. Somebody uses your product a little, somebody uses it more, right? But there are those serious buyers. So who is going to be the beachhead set of customers that you will concentrate on? And everything that Gatorade did, it flowed around their choice of serious athletes as the target customer. So focusing on that segment and discovering its specific needs led to a very compelling promise. And what was that compelling promise? It guided them to create a compelling portfolio of complementary innovations. And thereafter, the company is free to expand out. So this is why the definition of core customer, that initial serious beachhead of customers, is very important. Now let's quickly, take 1 minute and talk to each of them, right? So I showed you this video, and I want a response from some of you as to what did you see Gatorade do, which would fit into what we just described. Very focused customer segment, and did you see the company doing anything like that, trying to reach out to serious users? Did you see anything like that? It's a question, and I am looking for a response. Yes, anyone? Okay, so Mr. Swami says yes, definitely. Okay, and anybody else? Did you notice how they are trying to tune to their core customers? The targeted audience was athletes, very good. And as sportsmen, yes. And as you just saw, who are the people in their advertisements? They are all sportsmen, right? So it's a very clear targeting. Okay, good. So even though you're not speaking, but I'm getting the response, so that's fine. Okay. So let's go on. So what are some of the don'ts in choosing a key product? What is it that you should not do in choosing a key product? So don't dismiss a legacy product. Okay, so this sugar and salt and lime is a legacy product today, because if you look at it today vis-a-vis 1965 when it was created, I mean, there are things that are probably outlived this kind of a drink, right? But don't dismiss a legacy product, because those legacy products sometimes they are the ones that need more respect, they need more attention, and they need more wraparounds so that you can create complementary innovations. Now, there are a lot of key products which don't make money for the companies that offer them. For example, the automobile companies. Do you know how automobile companies make money? Can anyone tell me? I mean, I put it on the slide, but do you know how they make money in the US especially? It's all down to financials. It's all down to financing. They make money through financing, not on the car. On the car, they hardly make a few dollars. But on the finance, they make big money. So Logitech, Dunhill, I'm sure you heard of Logitech. What is Logitech? Does anyone know what is Logitech? What is Logitech? Anyone? You can speak quickly if you want to. It's a hardware company. Okay, so what kind of hardware does it make? Do you think Logitech's hardware works on its own? Do you think it works on its own, or is it complementary to others? So the point is, Logitech hardware is mouse, keyboard, the webcam, right, and so on and so forth. So when you have all these are complementary to someone else's product, okay? And then there is Dunhill, and there are printer manufacturers, and there are toner and cartridge makers. So toner and cartridge makers, they target the printer manufacturers' customers, and the printer manufacturers, they frequently sell their printers at $0. Yes, that's what I'm saying, $0. I purchased a printer in the US for absolutely $0. You know what was the thing? The company wanted me to buy their ink thereafter, and they were making big money on that. The printer was very cheap to make. So that's how, so in fact, in India also, I'm still surprised why we don't get printers like that. And of course, companies make a killing here also on toner and cartridge. We know this. We are academics people. We print a lot, right? Okay. So don't reject a product because it's struggling in the marketplace. It can always have a comeback. You need to find out how it fits into the customer story. Now, many companies have turned flawed products into great success. So I think we know a lot of examples of these. Okay. So CarMax is one company again in the US, which had a purchasing disadvantage with its competitors, and I have something to show you on that later. Lego, probably you've heard of it or played with that. They have those children's bricks, for making things with those Lego bricks. And Novo Nordisk is a company, which was late to this human growth hormone market. Now, human growth hormone is not an artificial hormone. I mean, this is not the one that is artificial. It is actually produced in the body, but there's a supplement which Novo Nordisk came out with, and they were late in that market. But the great thing was, the tablet dissolved. Okay, so that created a distinction vis-a-vis others. So they were late, but they did well because they had a distinctive something else, and they were very late into this market. Okay, so look at this. You can have a struggling market. There were other struggling players, but still they did well. So here's something for you. If you had to buy a car, and these two represent two different dealerships, okay, punch in one if you would select dealership on the left, and punch in two into chat if you would select dealership on the right. So I'm just looking at your responses, one or two. Okay, punch in one into the chat window, type in one into the chat window if you would buy a car from the dealership which is on the left, which is this slightly bluish picture, or if you would like to buy a car from the dealership which is on the right. Put two in the chat window. Yes, your time starts now. We have a lot to do. Quick, everyone. I want to analyze this later. Please, everyone, quickly. Just say one or two. One is on your left and two is on your right. Okay. Yeah, please continue, everyone. I'm just giving it 30 seconds. You won't get your graduation certificate without this. No, I'm just kidding. That was a dangerous joke, right? Okay. Others, more responses. Quick, everyone, don't be shy. Just put it out there. Look at the picture, just do it. Okay. Some daring people have already done it, but some people are probably shy or hesitant or whatever, or not able to make up their mind, perhaps. They're too confused. Are you? Okay. So let me, yeah, more responses. More responses. Oh, somebody just dropped off from the meeting because they had to make a choice. Really? Should I believe that? Okay, so I'm going to show you why, I mean, what this is about. Okay, so don't worry. Just give me a second to put these two windows side by side and see if I can. Oh, okay, we can see only one at a time. So I will show you one and then I'll show you the other one. So we need to interact, we need to talk, we need to ask questions. Okay. All right. So this is CarMax. Okay. So I didn't show you the name. This is CarMax, introducing Love Your Car Guarantee. Okay. See cars your budget will love, the way it should be, do more from home, blah, 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 blah. Hassle-free, kind of happy. Okay. Want to sell in or trade, research used cars, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So you have this. This is the touch and feel of this company's core product. Now we'll take a look at the other one. Okay. So this is for automation. Okay. So you see automation, 100,000 choices. We call it 1 lakh. Okay. That's fine. All inventory, drive electrified, every vehicle will sell and service is sanitized. Want to sell your car, ABC of the car, popular searches, drive pink, personalize, cars are our thing, services our specialty, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So this is how, this is their core message. So I'm going to close it out, close this out. Okay. And I'm going to come back to my presentation. And we will talk about it in the course of time. But I just wanted to do this quick poll with you all so that you will be, you will see what I'm talking about. You will understand this better now. Okay. So there are companies which have so many products. So please avoid the self-limiting mistake of thinking that a key product can only be your company's most important strategic product. So a key product cannot, I mean, it's not necessary. Okay. For Novo Nordisk, as I said before, Norditropin was secondary to the company's main line of insulin and other diabetes-related products. So if your company is organized around multiple strategic business units or divisions, okay, you should think about key products in the context of those units rather than the firm as a whole. For example, auto companies, you just saw those two companies, right? And we will gradually discover, how they're different. But can you actually have too many key products? And can each have its own system of complementary innovations? The answer is yes, inevitably possible. That is indeed possible. However, unless necessary, so here's the warning. Too many key products can become the undisciplined pursuit of more, which is, this is a remark attributed to Jim Collins, great thinker and product management guy. Okay. So what that does is it leads to a loss of focus, and the customers are, then, I mean, you have confusion about who is your customer. Okay. Because if you're focusing on too many things, it's obviously like that. You're studying one subject vis-a-vis you're trying to do 10 subjects altogether, right? So the point is clear. So we said that, the key product does not innovate. I mean, there will be innovations around the key product. So remember always, that in this approach that we're talking about in this FDP, the third way, okay, for design thinking. So a key product is where you will not focus any major innovation efforts. Now, this may once again come to you as a shocker. Perhaps you missed out before, or you were not, so keenly, catching those words, right? But the point is, a key product is where you will not focus any major innovation efforts. So where will those efforts go? Those efforts will go to the creation of complements around that key product, so that the key product becomes more attractive. Okay. Now there are two exceptions to this general rule. The first one is that you must continue to make sustaining and incremental improvements to a key product also, because times change, right? And you must do it in such a way that the complementary innovations surrounding it are not disrupted, or at least they move along with it, so that the entire ecosystem moves along with it. Okay. I mean, you can't, somebody can't be selling a fax machine now and saying that, oh, this is my key product and I can't change it. Okay. We don't do physical faxes anymore. I mean, not in most of the parts of the world. I mean, if you know what is efax, for example, efax, you can go to efax.com or something, and it will give you a virtual number, and you can get all your faxes and you can send faxes. Because how do you send a fax today? You actually type and then send it, right? So once you are writing it in Microsoft Word or something else, you can actually import a plugin and efax does it right from there. So who needs a fax machine? So the point is that you have to evolve along with the time. Okay. But it must not contradict your complementary innovations that surround your product. The example that you just saw, automation versus CarMax. So now let's talk about it a bit. So automation, first CarMax started, okay, and they were in the US and I was there at that time, and they were adding new cars, which were relatively used new cars. Okay, so what is used new? Which is like not so old new, used. So they CarMax was into that, and then AutoNation, they started competing with CarMax with the used cars division, and then they also brought in a new division, which was the new cars division, the new as in brand new. Okay, so they said, okay, CarMax, we are going to kill you because we have used cars and we have the brand new cars, and you are somewhere in between, so you're going to get sandwiched. Okay, now the problem was that CarMax, initially, there was a slight bit of a struggle, but then CarMax said, listen, this is our customer target. Okay, we are into slightly used or relatively new used cars, and that is what we are going to focus on. So they kept focusing on that, and they built on that, and they defined all their processes and made it very smooth. We'll talk about all these more also. Okay, and you will see a lot more coming on this. So eventually they prevailed over automation. Okay, and they became very big, and automation actually had to shut down their used car business, literally. And then they came back into this with a far more on a very small scale, and they still exist. Okay, so CarMax did not lose their innovation around their core concept. Now, the second deviation which is permitted is that a key product and its complement can change because of market response, right? So when Apple released the original iPod, what was an iPod? How many of you have some kind of a music device? Probably many of you have. Okay, so I would really love to hear a few voices. If you guys want to interject in between, that'll be great. I love that. No issues with that. Okay. So the iPod was this new thing, in 2001 again, and it was launched in the US. I was there, standing in the line to get one, and they created then they created iTunes. Okay, so this entire thing, when iPod came and then the iTunes came, the iTunes actually made iPod an altogether different product, because when iPod came out, iPod was one more thing offered by Apple. Okay, and the idea was that iPod would hook in people to buy Macs. That was the idea, as it's written here also. Okay, that was the idea. But then when iTunes was launched, especially for Windows, because Windows was the dominant operating system at that time, and it still is, to be honest, then iPod became a product rather than being a product which was feeding to Mac. Of course, it still feeds to Mac through loyalty, but it became a product by itself. Then what happened in 2007? The company launched iPhone. Okay, And when they launched iPhone, again, a lot of people got drawn, but people already knew Mac, people already knew iPod, and then iPhone became one of the ways in which a customer could manage their digital life. Okay, so that was their promise. And you'll be surprised to know that in 2016, iPhone, because phones were far more affordable, and people needed more phones than everybody needed a computer at that time. So, and even now, I mean, everybody has, there are far more number of smartphones than there are computers, right? I mean, unless you say that every smartphone is also a computer. So in 2016, iPhone provided 60% of Apple's revenue. Just imagine. So all these started as complements to something else. They were supposed to sell Mac, but then they became their own product lines. The same thing happened to iPod, as I explained. So in practice, while we are looking at the product, it is very important to rationalize and trim the product line. Okay, as I've given these examples, it is painful. There is no doubt about it, because what are you going to do about all those people in product lines, right? And but if you don't do that, there are, as I said, there are huge costs. Your focus is diluted, and your resources are spread thin. So to seize early success, you have to choose a key product, and you have to bet on it, actually double. Okay, so there's a game called blackjack, where you have this theory of called doubling down. Okay, which means you're actually taking lesser cards, but you're actually taking double the risk. Okay, or even more. So it is almost the same thing. You can look up what is blackjack and what is doubling down on the internet. I found some tutorials, but I didn't want to include it here. Um, so this is very important. When you are trying to seed early success. Okay, you have to slim down, and you have to focus. You have to make it transparent, and you have to have product communication. So product communication is very important, because what are the products that you have chosen? No one knows. I mean, imagine a company with 5,000, 10,000 employees. How are people supposed to know what decisions have been made? What is a key product? What is this concept, right? So make it clear to everyone why you have chosen this. What is the product? Describe, how innovation efforts will be focused not on the product but around it for complementary innovations, and make sure everyone is clear about that, and then ask everyone to open up, because the complementary innovations will come from across the organization and from outside partners as well. Okay, so make the key product as strong as possible. All the efforts should be put into making the key product itself very strong, which means if it needs to evolve, it should evolve. So when CarMax identified newer used cars as its key product, it worked hard to be better than anyone else at knowing what rate is should we buy the car, right? Because if they can't buy the car at a competitive price, then how will they sell it profitably, right? So they had to devise their own ways. There was no one to tell them. They were the first ones to do this, right? Similarly, when Apple started doing this, they cut down everything else, all other Macs, and they started working on a better operating system. Lego did this. Okay, so this is a key challenge in practice. As I already said, if you're trying to slim down and select a key product, you will end up creating winners and losers within your organization, and how you manage that, how you make that inclusive and open is very important. The second challenge is that making any product off limits to change. Okay, for example, you say that, hey, listen, we are not going to innovate in this product, but around it. Okay, so people will naturally have a revolt. Okay, this is like, what is this guy talking about? We are not going to innovate and around this product. What does that mean, right? So you have to tell them all this if you are interested in bringing about change, and this requires courage and discipline. So what are the key takeaways? Okay, so what are the key takeaways from our session so far? Number one, clearly identify the key product around which you will create a family of complementary innovations. Okay. Number two, a key product should be stable. strategically important for your company, and capable of generating sizable revenues. Okay, then it should be a product that you produced yesterday, are producing today, and will continue to produce tomorrow. Then identify the beachhead customer segment. Okay, culling for focus is often the first step while continuing to strengthen the key product. And communication is key as usual. Okay, so these are some key takeaways from this session. Now, I've kept a few minutes for our discussion because I want to understand from the audience now. Okay, so can you think of some companies? Uh, tell us- yeah, somebody wants to speak. Sai, yes, Sai. Okay, perhaps that was just a chance mic unmuting. Okay, so I want to hear from you all now about some of the companies because I want to take some questions and have a discussion about uh, what is it that you will do to make sure that you are identifying the key product properly, and you are actually going through this process. What have you understood? So I'm taking this back because see these are like slightly heavy sessions. So I've tried to keep some time for our discussions. Okay, because as you saw, there's a lot of text there. So I don't want to just read out all the text. I've given you the gist of it. I want you to now discuss this for like 10-15 minutes with me, before we get into the next section. Because unless this is clear, we will not be able to do it, the way we want it to be. Okay. So tell me, I'm going to pose some questions now. Okay. So my first question is, anyone, you can respond. What is a key product? Who can define what's a key product? See, this is a review session, so this is why I realize this is slightly tough knowledge because this is not how innovation is talked about. Okay, this is very different. This is actually very different. When I got first
Product that
exposed to this,
earns you a lot of revenue now in the
um,
future.
excuse me. Yeah, please. Speak.
A product that is earning you good revenues currently and shows promise for the future in terms of revenue again.
Okay, so this can be one qualifier. But is that the only? So Miss Rajani said that. Okay, so thank you for your response, first of all. And yes, that is true. What else?
Hello, sir. This is Rakesh.
Yes,
Yeah, sir.
Mr.
Recently
Rakesh,
I
please.
started my own startup. Yeah, yeah. So here, my key product I have been thinking to go for HR shared services.
Okay,
HR shared services. Yeah. So I
just shared
wanted to go
services.
in. Yeah. So I wanted to go in talent acquisitions. Or that services I have started. Got it. So in the market, there is practice. Generally, companies are hiring and sharing the candidates' profiles to other companies, or they are sharing or those companies as per their requirement. They are shortlisting it, right? Also,
Okay,
I'm just jumping on your decision too. Here, what is your business promise? My
hmm,
promise is I wanted to give them exceptional talent. That talent I wanted to give. Or how
okay,
will you innovate? So innovation part from my end is, so normally I have seen in this particular industry, people are hiring any talent, or they are giving to those particular companies. So in this context, what I am planning, I wanted to go for whatever profiles I will source. I will go for psychometric profiling of those profiles, or as per their requirements, 70 to 80% of their job fit I will screen, then I would say share. But for that thing I will charge more. not on common basis. People are taking 8.33 because I'm investing more time, and or I'm also bringing so a smart talent for them. So that kind of thing I've been planning. Or how will you deliver your innovations? So innovations part is that first of all I have to educate my clients also, because they suppose they would be not understanding or they would be not skilled in particular thing. So I have to educate them also. So what is psychometric profiling and how psychometric profiling can help them out. So that kind of thing I've been thinking.
Okay. So I think you have identified one USP for your startup, which
Yeah,
is
yeah,
that you will offer psychometric testing, right?
yeah, yeah.
And anything else that you've identified from any other process or any other part of your offering?
Processor, no, no,
I,
normally people are taking out.
I'm also
Normally
a
people are
mentor.
taking out talent.
Okay, I'm
Yeah,
also a
we,
mentor for several companies. So I will only, so for the sake of the audience, I will,
uh-huh,
I'm going to have this discussion with you for 1 or 2 minutes in a very
uh-huh.
dispassionate manner, so that when you go back, perhaps, there'll be something which will benefit you, right?
Okay,
So
yes, yes, sir.
please don't take my remarks in any other way. Okay, they
Yeah, consider, sir.
all the audience. Okay.
Yeah.
So Rakesh ji, what other USPs or differentiators would you create? So just a few questions, okay? And then we can talk even later, or if you want to, you're comfortable discussing in front of the audience so that they will also benefit. And how will you compete on the price thing? Because Indians are known to be price sensitive. So how will you
Okay.
define the market? We talked about defining the market, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So good, good.
So,
Now please tell me.
for market, sir, I'm not see. Uh, Initially, I'm not going with bigger market. So I'm just going with the industry I served or industry where I've been involved. So in this
So
particular industry, I have seen no any consultant is going for this kind of thing. So
very good.
first I will.
So
So I'm.
the first thing for the audience, let me just also give the lessons for the audience. So the
Yeah.
first thing is that Mr. Rakesh already has expertise in this area. He has been in
Uh,
this industry, as we all heard, right? And so this is your core product,
yeah.
right? You have
Yeah.
been part of the industry and you have identified something from it. Now you're going to do a complementary innovation around it, which is the psychometric testing. So I hope I
Yeah.
have encapsulated your thoughts properly, right?
Yeah. 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 Of course, sir. Of course. Thank
Okay,
you.
good, 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 very good. Okay, who else? I saw somebody else was trying to say something. Anybody else is into a startup or trying to innovate or do something around their, something that they offer to others? Is there anyone else? And Mr. Rakesh, by the way, you're free to ask more questions. That was just a small discussion we had. Keep thinking, and while this discussion is continuing, you can pitch in more.
Yeah, sir. So other thing I have also planned, since
Hmm.
the government has introduced four labor codes, right?
Okay.
So you will see majority of companies, because I have been also participating in different conferences, say PhD Chamber of Commerce, CII, and all NHID programs have been participating. So
Okay.
in 1 and 2 hour session, I can think all those experts are coming for the bullet points,
Hmm.
not with the overall things, whatever the sections, chapters, all they are not going. So now I'm also planning to have that kind of so I can educate those budding HR professionals who wanted to explore in, say, labor laws field or HR journalist field. So for that thing, I've been also preparing certain module. So that I think that will be again new innovation from my end for the market, because majority of people are practicing with the old things, or in coming 3 to 4 months, I think that particular all codes will be implemented. So there is again huge market.
Okay.
So for that thing, I've been creating a different WhatsApp group, or I'm trying to educate other those budding HR professionals how you can equip with those laws codes. Or in fact, I have started even 2 and 3 sessions with those particular points. Or that's a big hit.
Hmm,
Short.
hmm, hmm, hmm. So
So that kind
another
of.
wrapper, or the complementary innovation that you're trying to put around your core product,
Yeah,
HR
yeah,
services, is that you will start offering some kind of legal services, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that is another complementary innovation.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Or
very
thing
good.
is that I know who will purchase my services. Naturally, HR guys whosoever serving in different companies. So I know my industry, but to penetrate other industry, naturally I should have very good interpersonal relationship with those HR guys, budding HR guys. So
Right.
accordingly, I've been planning. So I'm not thinking for short term. I'm thinking for long term. I should have very good equation with all our fraternity across the India. So
Oh,
accordingly, I'm trying to just get it equipped.
okay, okay. So here, I would like to provide you an input if you would like to consider that. Okay.
Hmm.
Because I do this for, as I said, for many startups. So
Hmm.
you may like to create a forum,
Hmm.
where people can, ask questions and find answers. HR managers.
Hmm.
Because right now,
Hmm.
I had somebody who had a dispute with their employer. Okay, and this guy was
Oh, yeah.
looking for a solution, and he searched Google. And as you know,
Hmm.
Google, does funny things to different people, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah,
this
yeah.
person was not able to find anything as to
Uh-huh.
how to go forward with his case and whom to complain and what to do. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
so imagine if you create a forum like this, and I'm
Hmm.
telling this in front of the entire audience. This is an awesome
Okay.
startup idea, right?
Yeah, okay.
And
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you want, we can talk separately on this. But I just wanted to
Hmm.
give you this feedback because you're into
Hmm.
this and you want to create something long term. So remember,
Hmm.
core product is there.
Hmm.
It is a long term product, the key
Hmm.
product, right? It is
Hmm. Hmm.
stable, and around that we are going to create
Hmm.
more offers for innovation, right? And that will
Yeah,
create
right,
an
right,
entire industry
right.
around.
Thank you for your remarks.
Sure, sure, sure. Yeah,
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. So
good. Hmm?
I will think over it. This is very means important point you have advised to me. So I'll try to follow it, or means I will must follow it. I will say because
Yeah, yeah.
you the
I'm
things you
telling you,
said, because people you're just hovering over on internet to just get out the right point
it's a
or
huge wastage
right
of time. It's a
yeah,
huge wastage of time.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yes, sir.
yeah, you can, I have, because I was advising this guy with something, so we can talk
Okay.
later also separately. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
All
yeah.
right. Good. Good.
Thank
Good.
thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks a lot.
Sure. I'm glad that you found this useful. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah, sir. Okay.
Good. Good. Who else? So let's. Are you comfortable with this idea of key product and no innovation in the key product? I mean, do you feel uncomfortable about it? Because that's what innovation meant, right? You have a pen, innovation karo. Okay, let's try to create a new pen. Isn't this what we're used to? Yes, no? I mean, you have, something, and then people say, make a car, innovate. And you say, okay, let's put more features in this car, right? I mean, would you think like CarMax, which said, okay, listen, we are not into car manufacturing. We are into car sales, and we are into car sales of a very, very specific type. What is that specific type? Anyone? What was CarMax selling? New used cars, relatively new used cars, right? So this idea, so what I found is that it takes a little time to sink in, and that's why I said, okay, the theory and the slides and all that is there, but we must discuss, openly, free flowing discussion where you can ask me anything and I can ask you anything. Okay. So now I think this should be very clear. Key product is not that which you are going to, like directly innovate. You're going to innovate around that. And we had a beautiful discussion thanks to the gentleman, who talked about his startup, right? So, Mr. Rakesh. And so now we did a live case study right here. We created a core product, this core product, and I told you how things wrap around and how enhancements are happening around that product. Okay. Then we talked about qualifying a key product. So which of the factors, or what is it that caught your attention in qualifying the product? See, all this is tough, I know. Okay. So that's why I'm asking you all these things again. So the first thing is, do you have a Okay, so Mr. Chetan says, Dipankar, do you have any question to ask? Because you raised your hand. Okay. So do you have a question, Dipankar? Okay, silence means no. Let's assume that. And so when you try to qualify a key product, right? What is so critical about it? What is so critical about it? That you must have a distinct and sizable set of customers. Otherwise, why are we doing this? What is the point of doing this entire exercise if you don't have a clearly identified set of beachhead customers, right? So I hope this point is clear. Then the next key point, we already talked about stability of the product and all that. Okay. The next is when you have qualified a product, it must be able to generate revenues. So customers, clear set of customers and clear indication of revenues. Okay. These are very, very important when it comes to um identifying and calling something as a key product. Okay. What next? Then we talked about Gatorade. Okay. So can anyone tell me one or two lessons that you took from Gatorade from that case study? You have the link. You can still study it later. Okay. But please give me one or two points that you took from Gatorade. By the way, did you find it fascinating that Nimbu Pani can become a $1 billion product and it sells in 80 countries and no one in India ever thought about it? I mean, do you feel bad about it actually? That this should have been our product?
Yes, sir. Of course, we will fill, sir. This is our
I
complete
was
indigenous product. In summers,
exactly,
this is going to, this
exactly.
is going to, yeah, we should must fill. Yes, of
uh,
course.
Mr. Rakesh, when I read about this, and Jasdeep Hami is also responding to that. Okay, so Mr. Jasdeep, so when I first read about this and how Gatorade was made, and I used to drink Gatorade, to be honest. I was a young guy at that time. I used to go to the gym, work out, I was in the US and, so all those things. And I was a new guy there. So I looked around and, I said, everybody is so fit, or there are a lot of, big and ugly people also. Okay, obese
Right, sir.
people rather.
Right.
So I used to drink Gatorade, and I was like, "What is there in this drink? How do I get recharged?" Right?
Okay.
And I
Right.
was supposedly in America, and I was not supposed to drink Nimbu Pani because Nimbu Pani is old-fashioned. Kaun pita hai? You know?
Mhm.
So Gatorade
Right.
looked like a great thing. And then one fine day, I came to know about this entire story, and I was laughing at myself. I was like, "Okay,
Right, sir.
why did I come to the US? Why did I not think about selling Nimbu Pani here? Huh?
Right.
Why
Right.
not we scale up?" So, this is a discussion I like to always have in my forums because
Right.
as a country we have to wake up.
Yeah.
We have so much
Yeah.
more here, right?
Right,
Uh,
sir.
Let me pose a question to the entire audience. Okay. So, and Rakesh, you are welcome to respond to that.
Thank
So,
you, sir. Thank you.
You saw Indra Nui, right? So,
Yeah,
Indra
sir.
Nui Expo, people. So they brought pizza and all the so-called Western products here, right? PepsiCo was the big brand behind this. Now,
Right.
can you imagine they brought Coca-Cola? I'm sorry, they brought Pepsi here, right? But they never took Nimbu Pani there. Can you imagine that, right? And by the way, I mean she's an Indian, right?
Yes, of course.
So it always amazed me. So that's why I remember there were two properties I wrote: courage and determination. So you need to
Yeah.
have courage in all
Or
choosing a product.
yes.
Yeah, Mr. Rakesh.
Yeah, yeah. One more example I can come over, sir. So I know one person. I cannot connect his name. He
Hmm.
was from South India, or he came with bada idli or bada concept.
Yes, yes, yes.
Or
I
he
I I saw
with that son.
Yes, yes.
Can you carry his name? But that person was fabulous. We saw him in
Absolutely,
TV
absolutely.
sometimes. He
When
innovated that bada mix of all. Yeah. So that concept was also a huge hit, or that is not in India, across the globe. It is working. His concept.
I think it is Venki's or something. No, I don't remember.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Or
they did
his
a great
concept
thing.
so hit, sir.
They did an awesome
Yeah.
thing. So
Or
just
he.
imagine they had this idli and they wrapped around innovation. They made it portable,
Yeah.
accessible,
Yeah.
easy to cook,
Ah.
and easy to
Yes, sir.
consume
Yes, sir.
and cost effective. So
Ah.
all those are innovation. See, innovation is not necessarily physical. There is a car
Yes,
and
sir.
you put like instead of four doors, you make three doors. So it is
Mm-hmm.
okay. Innovation is not all that, not just physicality thing. I mean, yes,
Right,
it
sir.
is perceived and it is felt and it is operational. It works, makes things work in a different way, right? So that is innovation. This time they have done an innovation in a very different dimension,
Right, sir.
and which is amazing. There's another question, and some of you might have heard of this person also. I'm forgetting the name right now, but they have sold 10 lakh samosas online. So this is the online samosa people. There is this startup, and it's I think Bangalore-based startup again. They are selling samosa online, and they have
Yes, sir.
delivered.
Yes, sir. I now I can connect with Mr. Pandita class. So he rightly said about the innovation. He told innovation is equal to invention into commercialization.
Absolutely. Remember the
Yeah,
first question, right?
yeah. First day class, Mr. Pandita took out. That was superb thing. Now I can connect with your class. So it is all
Absolutely.
about samosas or idli, dosa, whatsoever thing. So
Whatsoever.
yeah.
And that
Right,
is
sir.
called samosa skin. Okay.
Right, sir. Right. Absolutely right, sir.
Yeah. They are called samosa skin, and they've been selling samosas online,
Yes, sir. Right, sir.
and they ship to any part of India.
Right, sir. Right.
Imagine getting a samosa, delivered, which is good enough to eat, right, in any part of India. So, and by the way, so going back, so what is the qualification of the person who did this? He's a biotechnologist. Okay, so Nidhi is the person, and there's a guy called Shikhar, and Nidhi is a biotechnologist. So again, there is a core. Okay, so like I'm saying, we have to get rid of all these notions that a product looks like this or a core competency is like this. Okay, it's not that. There is there's a core, and what is that core here? That core is the competence of this person in delivering, biotechnological products or services. So this is how we can innovate. Okay, so these are all live examples, and as I said, a company can have a number of key products, but that is not advisable because that leads to a loss of focus. And in practice, you need to get rid of, ruthlessly. You need to get rid of all the extra things that are there. And then communication is very critical, as I said, because as you grow beyond one or two people in an organization, communication becomes very complex, right? Hello.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yeah. Okay. So unless we have any other question, we I'm just going to summarize once again, what all we have talked about. Okay, so that when we go into the next session, you will be very comfortable, because I'm trying to make it as simple as possible, but this is a slightly off the common, the common sense grid, this topic, right? Especially, because we talk about innovation around the product, but not on or for that particular product. Okay, so we have talked about what is the key product, what it takes to qualify a key product. We've talked about how to identify a key product, and we have talked about why we want to identify this key product, because we want to create complementary innovations around it. Okay, so that is our strategy. We looked at a number of companies and case studies. We looked at Gatorade in a at length, in detail. Then we looked at CarMax vis-a-vis the auto car nation. We talked about other companies like Novo Nordisk and their offerings and how they became competitive, very briefly. Okay, we talked about how your core product may not make money, your key product may not make money, and you may make money or with in collaboration with somebody else, because you're selling a printer at zero cost, or you're a car maker who's actually depending on finance, right, to make money off of that, through interest, leasing, or sales. Both can be done through finance. Then we also talked about the important aspects, like being able to identify a customer segment. Okay, a very clear customer segment, so that we can relate the key product to that. We talked about having sizable revenues for the key product, because ultimately, what's the point otherwise? Okay, and we talked about the the different companies, how they identified that beachhead customer segment. And then we talked about why it is necessary to undertake reduction operations in order to strengthen your key product and focus on key product. We talked about communication strategy after and during the process of selection of key product, the need for transparency, okay, and keeping it open and inclusive. Then we talked about being able to manage all the other product lines that you're going to shut down. Okay, so this is a huge management area. Okay, and so this is what we have talked about in session 1, and we now clearly understand that a key product is that which represents the company, which is what the company does, which is what the company will continue to do in the future. And a key product is not what we are talking about innovating. We are talking about innovating what all surrounds the key product. Okay, so we are now clear on this. And with this, I would like to ask one more time if there are any questions for the session. If not, we can take a break and we can come back, reassemble for the next session. Okay, and we are very well on time. We have 1.5 minutes left. So any questions are welcome. Otherwise,
Yes, sir. In next session, I will raise, sir. I have some questions, but I'll raise in next session.
Sure,
So
sure.
let's have. Thank you, sir.
Every day.
Thank you. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, if there is no questions from the audience side, then we may break for tea or a coffee. Then we will assemble by 11:45 for next session by our resource person, Dr. Nitin Varma only. So he will continue the session. So I request Nitin Varma to be with us. We will meet once again after 15 minutes, sharply at 11:45 a.m. So thank you.
11:45.
Yes, sir. 11:45.
Yeah, not 12:45.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.